Good day and welcome to your favorite TV talk show, Woman to Woman, with me, Patricia Nkwani. This is a place where we discuss almost all issues that are of concern to women. We empower, inspire, and enlighten one another. Today on our show, we are talking women living with albinism. Join us as we'll be discussing this amazing topic. Women living with albinism are faced with so many challenges, which I believe most of them come with the misconceptions that we hold as a society pertaining to this condition. So today in studio, we are discussing women living with albinism, and I'm joined by Mpho here to discuss this issue. Hello Mpho, how are you?
Good afternoon, Patricia.
Welcome to Woman to Woman.
Thank you very much.
How is everything?
Everything is just okay.
Awesome. Okay, today on Woman to Woman, we are discussing issues surrounding women living with albinism, which I believe on its own, as women, we are categorized to be of a minority group. And then people living with albinism also fall in that group of the minority group. And then as a society, we have so many conceptions of people living with albinism, which I believe it might come with being uninformed or misinformed as people. So today, I just want us to lay out and to get into conversation with this whole condition of living with albinism. Right. Yeah. So the first question that I want us to discuss is, how has been your view with interacting with people out there? Because for most people that are living with this condition of albinism, they're always talking about the rejection that comes with it. How has been your view in terms of that regard?
Okay. No, thank you very much. Myself, am a mother. Mm-hmm. An entrepreneur, a divorcee.
Yeah.
Actually, interacting with people to me hasn't been hasn't been a problem. It depends on how you are raised.
Yeah.
It started with the family, how my family raised me, how they accepted me. And then when you go out there, at times you feel comfortable into the society. With myself, it was very easy to interact with people. Mm-hmm. But as time goes on, I realized it also goes with age. When you age
as
and
you grow up,
yeah, you tend to understand. Oh, this is rejection. This is this. Mm-hmm. You know, I got married when I was 19 years old. Mm-hmm. When I finished my Form 5.
Oh, yeah.
So as time goes on, I had kids in the marriage. As time goes on, I realized, no, there wasn't marriage, you know. And being with my family, as the matrimonial home, I faced a lot of abuse in the family, in the house, you know. So when I got out there, I felt like nothing else, you know. I felt like I'm not human.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I didn't get it from my husband as he started abusing me.
Yeah.
You know, the abuse was not that physical; it was emotional.
Emotional.
Yeah. The emotional abuse was usually lack of respect to start with. When he started sleeping out, you know, when you ask, he'll be like, "Why should you ask me? Because I did you a favor." And that was the little word that took me out of my matrimonial home. Because he was saying people with albinism cannot be easily married.
Yeah.
You see. So I simply divorced. Simply that way.
Yeah. But then, you know, coming back to that issue, as you were talking about marriage and you finding yourself in marriage, you know, there is a lot of misconceptions that are going out there in the society of people with albinism, where it has now gotten to a point where some are getting sexually abused because the society carry myths like, if you sleep with a person with albinism, there is certain lucky that comes out of it. There's a certain healing that comes out of it. Are these conceptions, had there been an issue that you ever thought of to say, oh yeah, maybe since he feels like he did me justice by marrying me, maybe it's something that has to do with this?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that happened to me. The misconceptions that we hear. When I look and I assess I take audit of my life back, I could see the marriage was led by these misconceptions. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just marriage. Because I was young, I didn't realize this up until I grew up, and when I started seeing people, because even in marriage I wasn't allowed that much to be out in the society. I was just like kidnapped in my own home, not visiting my parents. I spent most of the time at the matrimonial home. So I think him too had that.
Yeah. So now that I'm thinking about it, just in terms of advising or empowering somebody out there, a woman out there that's living with this condition of albinism, if you are to think about it, what then do we do? Do we push away and avoid men thinking maybe they're just coming into us to take advantage of us because they carry a certain misconception? Or do we still continue to open up? Because I'm thinking there are a lot of women out there that are going through the same thing that you went through. Somebody got married and they thought it's love, only to wake up the next morning and you are told, I just did you justice, I just did you a favor. Your word of inspiration now to a woman to say, go be alert. But then the question is, do we avoid relationships? Or do we still go, and how do we go in and know we are going for the real thing?
Yeah, according to my research, I like doing researches because as I know I'm the Secretary General to Singapore Association for People with Albinism. Yeah, those are the things that we are focusing on. We are trying to empower women with albinism because a lot of them, they are facing this, because when we have women talk, we always have some chats. You will see there is a lot happening out there. So I would say the society in general, they are lacking knowledge. They need to be educated. They need to be sensitized as to what is exactly albinism. Because a lot of people, they don't understand the albinism in general. What is actually meant by when we say a person is having albinism. So we need a lot of workshops with ladies, because they are the people that are mostly affected.
Most vulnerable, yeah.
And even men with albinism, they face the same thing that we face. There's a saying, why can't those ladies let these guys marry them? There's something there. Because few of them are having relationships, but most of them, like for example, at our association, the research that we did is most of them, they are single men. Ladies, they think they have relationships, but they don't even know what is behind the relationship.
Whatever that's been hidden behind the relationship.
Some of them, they think they are ladies, they need partners, but yet their partners, they know they are up to something.
What they are up to.
Because they came with those misconceptions that you have a relationship with this lady. Some will say, you guys, they say when you make love with a person with albinism, it's different from somebody else. But that is not.
That's not true.
It's not true.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, we are going to go for a very, very short break, a commercial break. Right after the break, we are continuing to unleash all these misconceptions that are surrounding people living with albinism. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tizzle, and I'll be your chef for this show, Let's Cook. Join me as I take you on a culinary journey as you learn new techniques, new methods, and new ways to cook all your favorite foods. You're gonna have a blast with this one. So please join us on channel 291 Maru TV.
Unplugged sessions. This show will be happening every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on Maru TV. Make sure that you watch, don't miss. It's a time of music. It's a time where we share ideas of music and enjoy ourselves. Unplugged sessions with Tsapol Sole. You're welcome.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's your favorite TV talk show, Woman to Woman, here with me, Patricia Nkwani. And as usual, I'm not alone. I'm joined here by the beautiful Mpo, and we're talking women living with albinism. Right before the break, we were talking about the myths that are there, that are surrounding the lives of women with albinism. As I was going through my studies and my researches in the life of a person living with albinism, I got to find out that, you know, when you go into, I don't know if it's a thing that's there in our country, but if you go into other countries, people living with albinism are living in fear, because all of a sudden there is a myth that, you know, there is that myth that has got people now hunting for the body parts of people living with albinism. And then now that I'm thinking about it and coming back to our country, we've heard all those conceptions that a person living with albinism doesn't die, they just disappear. And you think about it, maybe this is just what has been happening. But then when you go to a life of a woman, by nature we are sensitive people, and by nature we are people that, you know, you always fear for your life. But the question is, now as a person with albinism, how does it feel to live in such a way that you have to always be careful where you are, who you are with, what you're doing, just in case the person around you is just a hunter?
Yeah, exactly. We are living in fear because we hear the news, it's spread everywhere, and we are in landlocked countries. And the countries that these ritual killings are happening, they are close to our country. Mm-hmm. So we as ladies, or as persons with albinism, we are scared. We always look in time. What time is it? So I should go home earlier, because we don't know. Not knowing is because we don't have statistics in our country. Mm-mm. As the constitution, as it was developed way back, we were not in the disability family. Group, yeah. So we were recently included in the disability family 2010. So we were just taken like any other person in our country. So even when you want statistics of people, missing persons, you won't even know how many people with albinism
that are missing. Yeah.
Yeah, how many people with albinism has been raped. We don't have statistics, so we cannot say it's not there. Because the misconceptions that are surrounding us as to people, like recently, if you have watched the albinism diaries, one of our association member was hunted for just a piece of hair around in Botswana. So which means these things are here, they are coming, and we don't know how prepared our country is. And even us, we don't even know where we are, because we think we are protected, but actually, to my own perspective, I think we are not.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, because it's this on its own is just scary news to me. I was about to ask you to say, are there systems that are put in place to protect people with albinism? Because I believe right now, as you seated here, you are with the Semologo Association, which is actually the biggest association that is spearheading the protection of people living with albinism. But then the question is, have you ever thought of coming with policies that are set to protect people with albinism? And if there are any policies, are they effective enough to protect somebody? Because I'm going all the way into primary schools where we have our young girls out there, you know, that have been raised with to believe and to trust, you know.
Yeah, that's a very good question. When you talk of policies, to start with the disability policy, it has all types of disability, which we are included into. So it has not yet been rectified. Our country has not yet rectified the UN Convention policy. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing on the table right now that I can say our government has done this to protect us or to defend it coming. Mm-hmm. Because as for now, we don't have any statistics or any case pertaining the ritual killings. So I think I had a meeting with the human trafficking like 2 months back, yeah, whereby they stated that they have developed some laws that would say if you are to be caught with a human flesh, or it's general human flesh, not for persons with albinism, you will be charged 1 million pula or 20 years in prison. Or if you are caught assisting on that person being murdered, yeah, you will be charged 450,000 or 20 years in prison. So,
but then now let's bring it to you. With all these misconceptions, there is the sex thing where men are out there hunting for sex with people with albinism, and then there is the hunting where people are looking for body parts, your ears, your hairs, legs, hands, everything. How does it feel to be you at this moment right now?
Being myself as a person with albinism, surrounded by a lot that you've just said, I think our country is too far from getting to the finishing line. Mm-hmm. The fight is there, but I don't think we'll win the war because looking at other countries whereby these things have been happening, they're way far compared to us. Yeah. They have done something. Like countries in Malawi, yet, yeah, to cage somebody just being in one place is not a good thing. But I think the laws they have implemented, they are more effective than here. Here we don't even know what time and when you'll be slaughtered or when you'll be missing.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like I said, it's a very, very scary thing. Mm-hmm. More so that you think about the fact that we live in a society where every day we live with people with albinism, but if you look into the older group, you still don't find the people with albinism. And you know, more so that, you know, there are other conditions surrounding these. The fear now is, do you say to your child, to a woman right there who's watching and raising a child with albinism, do you say to your child, go out, go to school, be safe? Or do you now feel for your child to an extent that you can't? Because at the end of the day, something has to be happening for you to actually be comfortable enough to say, my baby is at a classroom.
No, what I would advise parents and even us is to always stay alert, because we are not sure. We don't know. We don't have a stand. We don't know where we are right now. To parents who have kids with albinism, they should always make sure how they come back from school. They should accompany them to schools and then make sure they come back from school. And if anything that surrounds their kids, or if anything that troubles their kids, they should stand for it act
and fight.
immediately.
Yeah, we're going to go for a very, very short commercial break. We'll be right back after the break to wrap up our conversation on women living with albinism. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tizzle, and I'll be your chef for this show, Let's Cook. Join me as I take you on a culinary journey as you learn new techniques, new methods, and new ways to cook all your favorite foods. You're gonna have a blast with this one. So please, join us on channel 291 Maru TV.
Unplugged sessions. This show will be happening every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on Maru TV. Make sure that you watch, don't miss. It's a time of music. It's a time where we share ideas of music and enjoy ourselves. Unplugged sessions with Tsapol Sole. You're welcome.
Yes, welcome back. If you are joining us, it's Woman to Woman here with me, Patricia Nkwani. And today we are talking women living with albinism. And I'm here with Mpo as we are talking about the conditions that people living with albinism faces. Mpo, right before the break, we had a very good discussion about some of the misconceptions and the myth that people carry out there concerning the lives of people living with albinism. But as I was studying about the lives of people living with albinism, one of the things that stood out to me was the skin conditions and the visual impairment that you come up with. And then the question that got to me was women out there that are living way in the rurals that don't have, means to take care of their skin conditions and everything. How does one grow up to say, I'm going to raise my child in a protective way where you don't have to deal with the cancers that come with it?
Yeah, thank you. Living with albinism is not simple. It's not easy. If I take myself as an example, I grew up not knowing which type of lotion should I apply, how should I take care of myself, how do I act upon any condition that I see developing in my skin. So, like I said, our country is still far to reach somewhere. There is lack of education about people with albinism. If you were there at the commemoration, you were going to shed a tear. As people in rural areas, statistically in Botswana, a lot of people with albinism, they are in rural areas where there are no they cannot easily reach for sunscreens. As in Gaborone, it's not easy to get. And the sunscreen on its own, it's very expensive. Even the cream that we should use, they lack a lot of knowledge. And I think what has to be done, the social workers and the nurses, they have to go out there and teach those people as to how to take care of themselves. And up until I afford to get into a private hospital and I met a dermatologist. That's when I knew I didn't have to apply the scented creams into my skin. They're not good for my skin. As I know, I have to always cover my eyes because I'm born short-sighted, so that I reduce too much light. So there's still a lot that needs to be done, and that is education. These people need to be educated, and the government has to make sure they supply sunscreens, because our skins, we cannot live without a sunscreen.
Awesome. Okay, now going back to you as Simologo. what are you doing as Timologo? Because at the end of the day, we are not going to just sit and wait for the government to now stand up and say, we are going out there to teach people. As Timologo, what are you doing now to reach to your own, to say, we know we've been through this, we've experienced this, and we've got knowledge out of it. Now we are going back to our own now to inform them, to teach them, to enlighten them on ways they could protect themselves.
Yeah, like I said, Timologo was formed in 2012. And before we even, when it was formed in 2012, the mandate of Timologo was to advocate and fight for stigma and discrimination on as to how sensitize the nation on albinism. And we as Timologo, we have done a lot so far. We started with our pageant. We had a pageantry like a month back, whereby we are showing people that even in albinism, there is beauty. That is why they said it's beauty that closes the stigma gap.
Yeah.
So we started by doing that as to sensitize the nation as there's beauty into albinism. And then our next step is we are going for outreaches. We want to go countrywide as to educate people on albinism, and we wanted to visit schools, but that is a project that will be done by our Mr. and Mrs. Beauty with Albinism that have won the crown for this year. So we want them to teach the nation on to how to raise kids with albinism in schools, in families, and as parents who have kids with albinism, how they have to accept those kids and how they have to make those kids interact with people, because some of them, they just put them on the closet.
Awesome. Okay, we are about to wrap up our show. So I have a question for you. So this question is just basically from me, it's my own curiosity.
Yeah.
We see you at the age of 19 walking into a marriage, which after all the abuses, after the introspection, you realize it wasn't just marriage in the first place, but it was just somebody taking advantage of you, right? And then we see you today, and then the question that I want to know is, do we see you opening up into getting married, or do we see you having the idea or the thought of getting married anytime soon? Or is it just something you're striking out of your lists?
Actually, if I would wish that was a private question, because if I answer it, maybe I'll scare some other people. Anyway, let me just answer it. I don't see myself getting married again. I've rejected 2 marriages at this point in time, whereby it was prepared and everything was to be done, and something came up to me and I said, no, I'm not taking this again.
Is it the fear of you being exploited again, or is it just you saying, I don't want to go into this?
Exactly my point. It's the fear that I don't want to suffer.
You want to be taken. You might get to suffer as you suffered before.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to wrap up our show. I just want you to face the camera right there, and I want you to speak to a woman that's out there, that's living in this fear of all the methods that are around. Somebody that might be caught up in a marriage and they see for sure that this is not just a marriage, it's not working for me. Or somebody that just, had a little baby and it's a baby with albinism, and they're wondering, because for some, one of the misconceptions that's there around the lives of an albinism is that some people believe it's a curse to have a child with albinism. But I want you to speak to somebody out there and empower somebody.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I would like to empower young ladies that being born with albinism does not mean that you're not a human being. They should stay strong, raise up their heads, and know what they are before you do something. Just take your time before you act. And to mothers who give birth to kids with albinism, they should accept their kids. They know how they can change, and it's a God-given gift. So you should take your child as any other child. I don't think you have to think otherwise, because if you learn to accept yourself and love yourself, as much as you are given a gift, it's a present. You have to love it, accept it, and show the world that this is what I have, and I'm going to have it for the rest of my life.
Thank you so much, Mpho. Thank you so much for gracing our show. And thank you for the conversation that we just had. I believe a woman that is watching out there has been empowered by the words that you had to share with us.
Thank you.
Oof, okay, it's such an amazing conversation that we had right here on studio with Mpho. But all I want to say to the mothers that are raising children living with albinism is that, you know, the child cannot be loved elsewhere unless you create a platform that is filled with love right from home. You have to be the one to acknowledge them before they can go and be expected to be loved elsewhere. And you, woman living with albinism, find a way to be strong in it. Find a way to acknowledge yourself, and find a way to fall madly in love with yourself, because if you can love yourself, nothing can stop you from becoming what you're destined to become. Thank you so much for watching Woman to Woman. And as much as I always do, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge the beautiful people that have sponsored our show with this beautiful place that we are in right now, and also to acknowledge Prestige Flair for dressing me up with such beautiful clothes. See you again on the next episode of Woman to Woman. Bye-bye.